Hi everyone, this is Grammar, Recognizing and Using Adverbs. Objectives: identify adverbs and the verbs they describe, and use adverbs in writing and speaking. So let's discuss what an adverb is. So an adverb is a word that describes a verb. Adverbs give more information about an action verb or a form of the verb be. Okay, so what do adverbs do? They tell how, when, or where the action is done. And most adverbs also tell how, and these adverbs end with the suffix ly. So let's look at some examples right here. Let's begin with adverbs that tell how. The puppy happily chased its tail. So what is your verb in this sentence? Yes, your verb is chased, okay? How did the puppy chase its tail? How did he do it? In what manner did he do it? Okay, so you have your adverb happily that ends with ly. So in this case, the adverb that tells how, which is happily, is describing the action that was chased. Now let's go to adverbs of when. Later, she barked at a noisy bird. Can you identify your verb in this sentence? So the verb here is barked. So when did the puppy bark? The answer is later. So in this case, later is the adverb that tells when the action barked has happened. Now let's go to adverbs that tell where. Her mother was nearby. So in this case, our verb is was, which is a form of the verb be, as we have discussed earlier. So what was the location of her mother? Where was her mother? Yes, her mother was nearby. So in this case, the adverb that tells where is nearby. Now we also have what we call adverbs of frequency. So an adverb of frequency tells how often something happens, while adverbs of intensity tell to what degree or how much something happens. So we can better understand this by looking at a couple of examples right here. So we have adverb of frequency example. Puppies usually love walks. So our verb in here is love, right? So how often do they love walks? Okay, walks meaning the activity of walking. Like you walk them in a park or you walk them in a village. So our answer is usually, which is basically frequent, right? So adverb of frequency, once again, tells how often something happens or how often an action is done. Now let's look at this example of adverb of intensity. Our puppy almost caught a squirrel. Okay, so to what degree did the action caught happen? He did not quite catch the squirrel, he almost caught it. Okay, so intensity in here is almost. So we would provide you with more examples as we proceed to our activities in the book. Now let's do some grammar practice. Write the following sentences on a sheet of paper and identify the adverbs. Better yet, you can write your answers in your English 2 copybook. Note whether they tell about intensity or frequency. So again, intensity tells about the degree of the action done, while frequency tells about how often an action was done or is being done. 1. A cat visits our yard often. So for you to be able to identify your adverb, first you need to determine your verb. So in this case, our verb is visits. So how often does your cat or does a cat visit your yard? So the question already holds the answer, right? The answer is often, which means almost always. So in our case, often is an adverb of frequency. 2, our dog barks loudly. So what is your verb in this sentence? Yes, the verb is barks, okay? Now, to what intensity does it bark and in which manner? The answer is loudly. So in this case, loudly could pass for an adverb of manner, not only because it ends with ly, but also because it tells a bit about how the action was done. And it can also pass for an adverb of intensity because it tells To which degree does the action happen? The dog did not bark softly in terms of intensity. It barked loudly. So there's your adverb. 3, she nearly jumps through the window. So what is your verb in this sentence? Your verb is, yes, jumps. Okay, so to what degree did she jump? Was she able to jump from, from inside the house through the window? Was the dog successful in doing it or not so much? So the answer in here, the adverb is nearly. So she was not able to jump through the window, but she almost did it. Okay, so in this case, nearly is an adverb of intensity. Now, here are some writing tips for you. Okay, so when you use adverbs in writing, always be sure to use the more precise adverb rather than the less precise adverb. Let's look at these examples. A well-trained dog often follows orders. So what is your adverb in here? Okay, you have the adverb often, which is describing the verb follows. Okay, but you can better state your sentence by using a more precise adverb, as in this example. A well-trained dog reliably follows orders. Okay, so what is the difference between the two? In here, you're only describing the frequency to which the dog follows orders. It follows orders almost always. But if you say that the dog reliably follows orders, okay, it means that the dog is reliable in terms of performing an action. You can always depend on the dog. So in that case, your sentence has more effect. So this is our classwork on R&B page 211. We will try and do the first set of items, and you have to answer the rest of the items yourself. 1 to 5, the verb in each sentence is underlined. Write the adverb, then write whether it tells when, how, or where. Okay, so determine whether it's an adverb of time, an adverb of manner, or an adverb of place. Okay, let's do number 1. Leon talked softly to the new puppy. So your verb in here is talked, okay? So how did Leon talk to the new puppy? Okay, so the manner in which the action was done, okay, was softly, okay? And in this case, it's an adverb that tells how. It's an adverb of manner. One other clue, although this is not always the case for all adverbs of manner, one clue for you to identify adverbs that tell how would be they would end most likely with ly, with the suffix ly. But this is not the case for all adverbs of manner. Okay, just be aware. 6 to 10, underline each adverb and write the verb it describes. So let's do number 6. Someday, Robo will learn how to behave. So what is your verb in here? Okay, so your verb is will learn, right? So you have to write it on the blank. But first, let's identify where the adverb is. So when will Robo learn how to behave? Okay, answer is yes, someday he will learn that action. And you have the verb phrase will learn. So this is how you're going to go through items 2 to 5 and items 7 to 10. Now let's go to page 212 of your book. Again, we're going to try and answer the first 2 items in each set. 1 to 5, the verb in each sentence is underlined. Write the adverb that tells how often. Okay, so how often talks about or is referring to adverb of frequency. 1, I always take my dog Pal for a walk. Okay, so every when do you take your dog Pal? How often do you walk him? So in this case, the answer is always. Okay, your verb is right here. Usually the adverb is very close to the verb. Okay, but then you have to really be keen in reading the sentences. First, identify where your verb is. Ask yourself the right questions, either when, how, where, how often, or to what degree, and identify the adverb. 6 to 10, underline each adverb and write the verb it describes. Let's try number 6. We sometimes swim with our dogs. So where is your verb in here? Your verb is swim. Okay, so how often do you swim with your dogs? The answer is sometimes. Okay, and on the blank, you have to write the verb that the adverb sometimes is describing. So please follow the same pattern to answer 2 to 5 and 7 to 10. You may check out our references and resources for more information about this lesson. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.